What is up everybody, Gifford here and welcome to another video. Today I'm pretty pumped because I have just done the biggest trade I've ever done in the stock market in my options trading account, and that is going all in Nvidia stock. So hit like and subscribe if you're interested in this kind of content. So this is the CEO that I am backing. It's a little bit of fun, but yeah. Let's move on. So what was the trade? Well, I did a $110 put option for Nvidia and the date of expiry is the 21st of March. So as you can see here, I sold one contract of this because it's very expensive. It's a lot of money, right? In New Zealand terms, that is 20 or close to 20,000 New Zealand dollars. And also that, you know, it's $110 of Nvidia stock, pretty big contract. The price I got paid to do this put is $3.11. which works out to be $311 for 3 weeks. And you can see here I did it this morning and that the commission was $1.51. So here is the transaction proof that I did do that. You can see there Nvidia stock, I sold it this morning, and I also had to put money into this to be able to do this for my account. I did have to put in $8,300 of mine into there, and you can see the horrible exchange rate from the New Zealand dollars to US dollars. So what does this all mean? Well, I want to wheel Nvidia stock, so I think a good entry price is $110 with the recent downturn at the moment. So here is what they show you in Interactive Brokers on the mobile account. So you can see here that my max return here is $310 and the max loss is $10,000. To be able to understand this, you got to know about options. So this is not like a basic video, right? It's a sort of intermediate video, but that max loss, that's if Nvidia stock actually goes down to zero, which is highly unlikely. And the break even part is just telling me that, hey, even if I own these shares and Nvidia goes down, it can go down as $106 per share, and that I would be breaking even. Obviously, if it goes lower than that, I'd be losing money, but that's just like owning a stock anyway. Here's just the definitions of what the Greeks is. So the reason why the Greeks are important, because there's one here called delta, and what I like to do is sell puts that have 0.3 delta or 30% delta, and this one here is 25, which is pretty good. That gives me a probability profit of 79%. So just quickly looking at the returns calculation, as you could see there that I got paid $3.11 for the options premium. The strike price that I decided to choose was $110, and the date to expiry of that option was 27 days. That gives me a 37.7% return, and if we do that, say, over 360 days in a year, just left off the 5 days, then we get an expected annual return of 4,147. So this is a way to look at the trade and see how much money you're getting from it, or if it's worth the risk. Ideally, you know that if it's above 20%, that's pretty risky already. This one here has a lot of interest in it, and I have gone aggressive with the strike price being really close to in the money. I'm actually surprised this is paying quite a lot because it was at the 0.3 delta, so I'd assume probably aiming at about 25% annual return, but yeah, it's a good amount of money. As we can see from the chart, that Nvidia has actually fallen a decent amount, and this is after earnings, even though earnings was really good. We can see the stock price is below the 10 moving average, the 20 moving average that I have here, and also the 50 moving average. So I feel like it's safe to open a position in Nvidia stock, and my strike price is actually down here a little bit. So it has been here before, sort of the end of last year, or sort of, yeah, into mid last year. So I'm feeling pretty confident that my 110 put should give me a decent amount of money. And to note here, the RSI is at 40, and I consider like sort of buying stock at 30 is a good deal, but Nvidia hardly ever gets to 30 actually. So I think around about 40 is a good entry point. And if we change this to the hourly candle, we can see it's had a bit of a pop for today. So we can see this part here is when the market closes for the weekend, and this is how it's been trading during the week. So trading on the way up of earnings, and then obviously a bit of a sell. So the 1 hour chart still looks pretty good. So over at TradingView, I just want to see the general sort of shape of the chart and really outlining what my worst case scenario is. So you could see here that I've got a line through here. If it breaks less than sort of $114, $115, we may be in trouble, because below that is where I put my put option at. And if it gets even worse, Nvidia could end up going down to $100. You know, that's not impossible, can happen if there's some short term. But over here is really the one where I'm worried about, because if it goes to $76, you know, there's a it is possible because it did gap up here, and therefore it can come down here, and it could go to $75. And if that was the case, be assign these shares, then I would be losing 40 to, well, close to 50%, right? If it stays down here and stays down here for years. I don't think it'd ever get back down to here, but nothing is impossible. But I think Nvidia is a pretty strong company that to drive it down here, then profits would have to collapse, revenues and earnings, and I just don't see that happening with Nvidia. So when doing this trade, I just like to look at what other people think the intrinsic value is of Nvidia. Here I don't calculate it myself. I don't see any point. I'm not good enough. I'm not a sort of a stock analyzer, but I look into the business myself and then I decide myself on what the value is. Just for reference, they think Nvidia stock is $105. They have been right and they have been wrong on different types of stocks. I've been using this website here for the last 4 years just to check out what the other values people think it is, but you can see here that has got a DCF value here even lower of $66 US. So I guess that is what happens if it was pretty bad. But yeah, this is a pretty cool website. Just gives you an indication, but obviously not something to trade off. And just quickly going to stock analysis to have a look at Nvidia stock. So we can see here, this is, I think in the quarterly, yes it is. So we can look at the revenues, and the revenues have just absolutely been cranking. Right. And this also explains why the stock has had an incredible run, because they're able to increase their revenue quarter on quarter, which is just unbelievable for such a big company like this. And having a look at the profits, and it's exactly the same. It's just going up. So the only big way I would lose a lot of money is that if Nvidia actually, these metrics stop and they kind of come down here because no one is buying their products. But I think AI total addressable market is just getting bigger and bigger with companies really getting into that space. While I don't understand AI myself and exactly what, the inner workings of it, these numbers here are real and people are buying them. So there's got to be some money in it. The other big metric I like to look for is the Nvidia free cash flow, and you could see what free cash flow means right there. So this here has also been increasing, although it is starting to ease off, but $15.5 billion worth of free cash flow is pretty damn decent, although in a $3 trillion market cap company, that is still a subjective matter. And the reason why I'm relatively confident in Nvidia is over each quarter, it just beats the analyst expectations that we have here. The last one, we can see the EPS, the expected was 0.85 and the reported was 0.89. So that was a surprise of 5.22. And then the revenue was 38.16 billion and the reported was 39.33 billion, so a 3% rise. But in general, I think the sell-off in Nvidia stock after earnings is not very justified. So that is why this is a very good entry point for me. So I did that trade this morning and that was around about $120. It's up 3.87%, but this is a long game, or at least 3 weeks for me to be able to wield this stock. And I'm not going to be panicking too much unless it goes down below $100, in which case I'll have to hedge against my position and will be buying puts. So anyway, that is just a trade I wanted to share quickly, just a quick video on that, because that is the biggest trade I have ever done in my options portfolio. And obviously you can see there I've put an additional $8,000 into there. This money has come because I've lowered my investment into Sharesies, and this is sort of my sideline money that I'm putting into the market. I do worry that we might get a stock market crash and the timing might be wrong, but I think overall this is really going to do well for the portfolio. So in summary, I am wheeling Nvidia stock from now. I have confidence in AI growth in the coming years, and also please understand this is very risky and it is basically gambling, and you shouldn't be following me. You should be doing your own due diligence and doing your own trades. I'm just here to share what I'm doing. And if we get a crash in the next 3 weeks, you could see another video of me having tears in my eyes. But let's hope that doesn't happen, because it's just going to be pretty sad for a lot of us. Anyway, if you got any questions, pop them down below in the description. Feel free to use any of my referral codes, because I am using a lot of New Zealand platforms. The trading platform I use is Interactive Brokers, Hatch Invest, Stake, and Sharesies for individual companies, and I use Invest Now for index funds. If you want to start investing, you can use any of my referral codes down below to start your own investing journey if you are from New Zealand. If you're interested to hear more from me and just what I do in the market in general, feel free to go over to Instagram and hit me a follow. Please like and subscribe if you're into content like this from someone who is investing from New Zealand, or in this case, gambling from New Zealand. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.